My name is Yvette, a forensic student currently studying at ASU West. When I joined this class, I have to be honest, it was to fulfill a general studies requirement. But as we completed the first discussion word, I found myself fully invested in the film and writing. As you saw, I am proudly Salvadoran and know of many Central American conflicts, having heard of them from my parents. So when answering the first question, what have you been thinking about as you watch these films and learn about recent Latin American history? I did find myself saddened to see people recounting their experience, but weirdly proud and honored to be able to hear from them and to be able to learn and reflect from their historical impact. For example, the very first film I watched to complete any discussion was The Tiger Pounced and Killed, But He Will Die, He Will Die, by Santiago Alvarez in 1973. It honestly had me in tears. When I listened to the lyrics of the beautiful music that made up the film, that's what really got me to resonate with everything. So while answering the second question, what resonates with you and why, is people recounting their experiences and when the films actually show images from the conflict. I find those to be really emotionally impactful, whether it be someone singing, sharing their pain, explaining their point of view. I think to see the thoughts of others that are directly related to these historical events is extremely important and emotionally impactful. Not just to me, but those who can learn from them and those who share similar experiences. But unfortunately, in my case, when answering the next question, can you make connections with other things that you know about or have been learning about elsewhere? I cannot really do so, as I have not learned anything like this before. Sure, we learn of the world wars and big historical domestic events, but Latin history is basically unseen or unheard of in standard learning. What connections and disjunctions, what contradictions and familiarities do you find in these films? As I mentioned before, films where the actual conflict is shown draw me in the most. But honestly, the most recent discussion, which was called The Official and Unofficial Stories of Argentina, was very intriguing to me, which, funnily enough, might be the reason it's my biggest discussion post yet. I think overall the films from the course so far have more similarities than differences. They mostly fall into two categories: fictional film or experience sharing. While they all have political underlines, some are more in front than others, like La Noche de los Lápices by Hector Olivera compared to Postmortem by Pablo Larraín in 2010, or La Historia Oficial from 1985. One has the bad guys of the film directly being the military, while others have impartial protagonists. What did you most connect with? This was in fact the music. I find myself right along to the words that others sang. For example, the work of Victor Jara and the ending scene to Los Rubios. It is often said that music is a universal language, and as these songs sang of hope and courage, I also felt motivated and amazed by the words of these people given their situation. And honestly, I can't get that last song from Los Rubios out of my head. What was the most strange, scary, foreign, or surprising to you? This might be a bad thing, but not much was surprising to me. As someone who grew up hearing stories of civil war and the United States interfering in countries overseas, I'm not shocked to see these events play out the way they did. As I said before, I'm also a forensic student, so scenes of torture, mass graves, greed, abductions, and so on are not new to me. To answer the last questions at once, what are you angered or saddened or frustrated by? What gives you hope? What are you feeling as you learn about these topics? For these events, I was angered to see how long some of them played out. For example, with the coup in Chile in 1973, the military remained in power for the next 17 years. This forced people to think their relatives were dead after so long. They had to hide their affiliations. It forced them into silence, all by the rule of fear. The thing that gave me hope was to see that some people continued to seek answers, and to see the journalists record everything at such a high risk. They still shared their films with the world, even when their own countries had forgotten of their past. To see them educate future generations of students, workers, and scholars gives me that hope.